In a world where local musicians and artists are unrated, underappreciated, battered, abused, and swept under the rug, living show to show without benefits like medieval gestures. Underplayed and Underpaid. Real local music. We've gone rogue. Email us at ryancfru@gmail.com. Viewer discretion is advised. Tolerance is recommended.
Ready to rock?
Let's do it.
All right, welcome to another installment of Underplayed and Underpaid. It's Brian McNeil, as I am with you every show, because it's my show, it's my podcast, and screw CFRU. Thank you very much to Matt Herman for coming in last week. That was awesome, and that was the first show, so it's kind of, we're figuring it out. We're ironing out all the wrinkles. And also thanks again to Derek Schulder for doing that amazing theme song. I really like it. It reminds me of like the Colbert Report.
I didn't know Derek was the one that did that.
Yeah, he did. Even like clapping and drums and in the background. It's fucking awesome. So Tye, if you could introduce yourself to the listeners, or the viewers, and tell them what it is that you do involving music.
I work downtown as a sound technician. I am always around all these bars. I'm down at Van Gogh's District, occasionally Royal Electric. I'm technically freelance, so I'll go to Hamilton and do shows at airport hangars for cop cover bands.
Oh, yeah?
For motorcycle unveilings. That was really weird.
Yeah.
That was a weird show. But I'm also a bartender, barback, cleaner, essentially just a bar bitch. In the end, long run, in just everything.
Okay, and how long have you been doing that?
I've been working downtown now for just about 3 years. I started off as a barback, and then within a month of working down there, I ended up becoming their house sound technician.
And where are we talking about right now?
Van Gogh's.
Van Gogh's. Oh, Van Gogh's ear downtown.
Yes.
Do you work upstairs with District as well sometimes?
Yeah, upstairs, the odd event, I will bar back, I'll stagehand, I'll just come up and cover the board for them if they're going to the washroom or going out for a cigarette. Mm-hmm. But essentially, I mainly try and focus downstairs. It's become my little home of a sound room.
Are you also then part and parcel of Game Music Fest?
Yeah, so I've been helping Nick doing tech for that on first floor for 3 years. Next year would be my fourth. Nick is the best person in the world. He puts together all these amazing shows, and it means a lot that he's always open to getting anybody from anywhere. If they want to play on a Tuesday, he'll still find a way to hook them up with a show. He's gotten bands from Italy in the past little bit, 2 bands from Italy in the past month, which was interesting. One of them was actually here for Canadian Music Week, but they were an Italian band. I never really understood how that works out, but Canadian Music Week. Nick always does showcases for the city. He's hooked up bands with Hillside, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing sound at all.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about that. How did you first get involved with mixing audio then?
So I used to do theater work as volunteer experience when I was 18, 19. I was one of the youngest stage managers that they ever had at the Guelph Little Theater. In high school, I would constantly fix their lighting system because it was built off of lights from the 1950s full of asbestos.
Oh, geez.
So I had to use a 50-foot hydraulic lift and go to the ceiling and constantly change bulbs, rewire an entire system, fix their sound system, find out that basically make a book because the entire board would just randomly reset if you hit the wrong button. Oh. So I had to basically create a step-by-step on how to reprogram every light. And then when I started working downtown, about almost 3 years ago. There was a band playing called Jonas Baseline. They were a cover band.
Okay, that's a good name.
Yeah, so they didn't have a person doing sound for them, so we just took one of the security guys, Liam Frith, and just threw him in front of the soundboard. And as I'm bar backing, I'm just passing him every now and then, just tweaking things, being like, I want to do this. Just move. And at the end of that night, I went up to Nick, said, hey, if you ever want somebody to do that, like, I love doing this shit. I would do it for free, pretty much. And the next day, at about halfway through the afternoon, he says, hey, read up on how to use this type of board. It was a Mackie DL1608. He said, you start at 8. So I go in there at 8 o'clock. There were 3 bands playing. I forget what the first band was. But I also had Olivia and the Creepy Crawlies and Cardboard Crowns, which even to this day remain 2 of my favorite bands. And afterwards, Chase Robs came down. He was doing tech upstairs, and at the time he was still the tech director for Hillside, and just said, I'd like to see you doing this more often, because every single time I came down, I didn't have to get you to fix shit.
Nice.
So I've
Shows
been
out
doing
to
it
Chase
since.
Robs. If nobody knows who Chase Robs is, he's a sound man extraordinaire.
Yeah, he started that music festival with Nick, Game Music and Arts Fest.
Yeah. And Dylan Dawson. I believe.
Dawson.
The 3 of them.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty sweet. So, what kind of training did you do? Any formal training? Did you go to post-secondary education? You said you kind of worked at the Guelph Little Theater, but I mean,
That was just hooking up lights and assistant stage managing. That's just telling people where to go, when to go places, and then occasionally just telling the sound person, the lighting person to go.
Yeah.
So, no, I was really never doing too much. I was always paying attention and trying to learn it all, but I was never the one doing it, which was kind of bumming me out. Yeah. It's also one of the reasons I got out of the Guelph Little Theater. Yeah. Other than the entire Jeff Aikens story of you don't try and have a relationship with somebody that young.
Oh.
And not go to jail.
I think I did hear about that.
Yeah.
If the viewers wanted to research that on their own, what would they look up?
Probably just the name Jeff Dakins.
Okay.
And it would probably appear right away.
Guelph Little Theater, probably tag word. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, lighting. You also said that you do lighting, and you just fixed the Jimmy Jazz's huge issue, and everybody's really happy.
The LED bar that only shot out a red light.
Yeah. I thought it was the spotlight, the red light.
There's a spotlight beside it that still is burnt out, but I'm afraid of putting a bulb into that thing.
Yeah.
Mainly because they're theater light bulbs. They're not built to stay on for like 10 hours. Yeah. Plus, if you even touch them with your fingers, the grease will make them explode.
Really?
Yeah, within like an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to wear gloves anytime you hook up one of those lights.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I'll never touch a bulb then. Leave it for other people to do. So, besides the actual mixing of live performance, what other things are involved in the sound tech position?
Essentially, you're working the lighting system. If your bar has a lighting system, you're organizing the entire bar to suit the bands. For example, at Van Gogh's, there's all these tables everywhere. It's a restaurant during the day. So when it comes time for the show to go on, organizing the bands, making sure that all their gear is in one place, and that when they're going to go on, they don't have to dig through other people's gear to get to theirs. Making sure that everything's backline, so if bands are sharing gear, make sure that's on a stage in a specific place and that everybody's okay with sharing it. And then moving all the tables in the bar to the back to pull away from the stage so that it actually feels like there's a front of a stage to hang out at. Other than that, it's just trying to keep organized with the place. I do downstairs at Van Gogh's here, I try and do a little bit more than the average sound tech. I try and help with doors if they need that covered. If the bartender needs to go somewhere, I'll help out there for a few minutes, because other than being a sound tech, I do work there, which is kind of one of the huge benefits. But even upstairs at District, you'll be running a fog machine the entire night. That's pretty much the only additional thing I do. It's just a fog machine. You don't like fog machines.
You and I were talking about your experience with running cables up through in the ceiling.
Yeah, so when we got a bunch of new TVs into the place, you have to go into the ceiling to be able to connect them from the actual cable box to a splitter, and then from the splitter to each individual TV. But to do that, you've got about a space maybe like 2 feet high, and then it's the entire ceiling of Van Gogh. So you got a ton of space, but it's the individual slats, so there's a few boards going over it, and you can't step in between it or else you'll just fall through a ceiling.
Yeah.
So you have to basically just shimmy your way through the entire ceiling, go to the cable box, just haul the cable with you. I didn't even really have a flashlight or anything, so I just took my phone, turned on the flashlight, tightened my hand, just wedged it right in there. And that probably gave me one of the largest headaches I've ever gotten inside of a ceiling.
Oh, wow. Well, you get headaches in ceilings all the time, then, do you?
Yeah, I don't like ceilings.
Yeah. Is it really nice and sparkly clean up there?
There's a few champagne glasses, an abundance of bottle caps, some broken light bulbs.
Oh, that sounds great to be crawling around in broken light bulbs.
They're just burnt out. They're not actually like shattered.
Shattered, okay.
There's everything up there is either plastic or bottle caps. Very dusty. That's the dirtiest I've ever come out of a ceiling. But then again, it's in between 2 bars. Like nobody ever goes up there.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Carrying on with this fun interview, fun for me anyway. Where do you like to acquire your equipment for the bars?
So what I like to do personally is if you go down to, let's say, Guelph Music or Long and McQuaid and you end up renting equipment, you can usually buy it off them afterwards, and they'll usually just give you a discounted price for it. Everything that you're going to get is going to work, because especially even if you're renting it out, you're going to know what works on it, and if anything's broken, you're just not going to buy out that one particular thing. That's hopefully going to be my plan with a soundboard within the next few weeks.
Okay.
With Jim Hare for the Jimmy Jazz.
Nice. And I recommended checking out KW Surplus and all these
Yep.
things. Did you happen to give them a call? See if
I
they
haven't
did?
actually yet.
Oh, okay.
It's still on my list.
Fair. Oh, you got a ton of things on your list, I'm sure.
I know, it's weird. I have to... Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, I have to go set up a sound system in the square for Lil. She runs Kaleidoscope Music.
Is it the RBC
Yeah.
Noon Hour Concert Series?
Yeah.
Sweet.
One of those shows. I don't actually know who's playing. I was meaning to search that up, but it's probably somebody I know.
Probably.
If it's Guelph-based.
Yeah. All right, at this point, how about we drop a song for the viewers and the listeners?
Let's do it.
All right, what song would you like to play?
Let's go for Pulling Teeth by Cardboard Crowns.
All right, here's Pulling Teeth by Cardboard Crowns. You're listening and viewing Underplayed and Underpaid right here on YouTube. New podcast format. I'll sort that out. Enjoy the song. We'll be back in a few.
There's 1,000 things they'll teach you just before they turn to leech you of your soul and all your time. And they'll be so pleased to meet you and to know if they can treat you to a meal and pour the wine. Then they'll tell you that you want it, and they'll show you how to flaunt it at the same time as you climb. When you're so wowed by all the glamour, you can't even feel the hammer as it shatters through your spine. But I didn't get the words they said, and I never learned to write between the lines before you read, and they tell you you're alone. And you start to sense the tightness of the rope you walk or hang. They've got 8 fingers in your pies, and the last 2 in your eyes hide the glistening of their fangs. But we could hear the words not said slip between their grinning teeth and make their way inside your head, and they tell you you're so close. There's 10,000 things to teach you to facilitate the breach into your head, your heart, and your mind. are not mean projections you find despite their best objections. They will cast you from their side. And you will shout that you don't want it, and you'll scream at them to stop it. Still your wounds are packed with salt. When at last you've been depleted, on the table set and seated, they will tell you it's your fault. But I didn't get the words they said. I never learned to write between the lines before you read. They tell you you're alone, now we go to hear the words not said. Slip between their gritting teeth and make their way inside your head. And they tell you you're alone. That you're
And, yeah. All right, so we're back on Underplayed and Underpaid. I got Tye Sepers live in the Underplayed and Underpaid lair, secret base, underground cavern, whatever we want to call this.
Is this a secret location?
It is a secret location for now.
Oh.
But yeah, we got some new flair on the wall. I got the Music Lives interview that I did for Underplayed and Underpaid with I don't know if it was Kelly or Chuck or Aaron even for that matter. That was a couple years ago. That was pretty fun. I don't know if you can still find it online or not, but it is by Kelly. It says that right underneath. And also some artwork there. You know who that artwork is by then?
Augie. Yeah.
Augie.
His last name.
Segunda Lobos Medina.
That's why, because I can never pronounce it.
Yeah. I haven't seen the guy in a while, but he paints with his own blood. And if you're interested, you can find the interview that I did with him at cfru.ca/recordings/11. That's the number. And go through it and you'll find it in there. I'll put it up on YouTube eventually, but I'm more interested and involved in doing some new interviews as I was badly treated for 13 months. And I'm getting back into this. Hey, you've been around, you kind of know. So let's get back to the interview. Do bands often treat you very well?
As a sound guy, you have a tendency to, especially when people come into a place like Van Gogh's and look around, they get a little bit discouraged by everything around them, it being a restaurant, it looking like a bit of a smaller stage, and they'll reflect that in the way that they present themselves, the way that they stand, the way that they talk, the way that they move their stuff around. But by the end of every show that I do now, they will always just love the way it sounds because that room has amazing acoustics, and I come off as a very laid-back sound technician. So people also get a little bit concerned. They think that I'm not going to be actually doing that much. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm relaxed, is because I've been doing sound on that same floor for 3 years. Mm. So after the show, they'll just be blown away by the way that room can sound and how well they can hear themselves on stage.
Do you have one of those tablets that you walk around and you can actually see the different waves in the room and how they're...
Yeah, so I run it off of an iPad. So the type of board's called a Mackie DL1608. So it's a 16-channel board. A few of my channels are kind of burnt out on it right now from just use. But everything on it that you send into the board gets sent to a wireless router, and then that shoots a Wi-Fi signal that I pick up on an iPad. I can be anywhere in the room I need to be. I can go back behind the board. I can go into the middle of the audience. When you could smoke on patios, I could sit outside, have a beer in one hand, the iPad on the table, cigarette in the other. It was great.
Nice. And the first time, to bring up Chase again, the first time I saw that ever was at Gain Music Festival. I think it was the first one, and he was up on the third floor.
Was that the...
moving around with this tablet, and I'm like, what is this technology? Because I had no idea.
Did Delhype play at that one?
It would have been on the third floor. I think You the Band and Wakeless and Jeremy and the Pink Band, maybe. I don't know about the first year, but Delhi, I think they did play down on the first floor, maybe.
That was the first one. Yeah,
David
I remember
Scott.
Going to that. Yeah,
David Scott's an awesome dude. And Ryan Turner as well, the drummer.
Yep.
Pair of fantastic individuals.
Ryan and his never-ending band list. He's just going to keep being in every band he can. He's got no more free time.
And well, I'm glad that his back's better. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Yeah.
But he had some back issues. You should probably get a hold of him and talk to him about some of those things. Like, yeah, so it's pretty much just stay active and get chiropractic adjustments. Oh yeah, I got to do the first part, stay active. The as we sit underneath my boat, the kayak 5K a week kayaking isn't enough. I got to do a lot of. I got to start focusing on lower body. Enough about me. So the first interview I did with Underplayed and Underpaid was with Paul McLeod, rest in peace. And I asked Paul, what's the most important thing when you go to a gig? What's the most important thing to do? So if you have any advice for younger artists, and he said right away, he's like, oh, make the sound guy your best friend. And do you get that treatment sometimes? Do you get bands come up like, oh, you're the guy that's going to make us sound good? Oh, here, let me buy you a drink.
Usually if it's anybody, it's usually the person that... You get that with the odd band here and there. It's not that often, unfortunately. But usually it's the person that hires you on for the night. So Jim Hare, one of my favorite human beings, bassist in the Nasties, does amazing work. Every single time anytime he's ever wanted me to do tech for him, he will treat me just beautifully. I feel like I'm being taken out to a romantic dinner every single time I do sound for him.
Oh, beautiful. Beauty, Jim. We love you, Jim. If anybody's interested in getting shows at the Jimmy Jazz, it's bookings at jimmyjazz.ca.
I think it still is.
I think. But anyways, it's Jim who's the one who does the answering and the booking at the Jimmy Jazz. Because he's a fantastic guy. Carrying on with the interview, what's the best a band has ever treated you? So, well, you just kind of talked about Jim Hare treating you the best. Like, has a band ever taken you out for food after? Or?
After you deal with bands multiple times, you start hanging out with them more and more. I've gone out for a few drinks with a few bands after a few shows. The guys from Cardboard Crowns are nicest people. They will, even if they're playing on a different floor of the bar, they will still come downstairs and just hang out for a while. It's nice to be able to actually not just have bands playing as work. Mm-hmm. So having a band even just say, hey, let's go grab something to eat, it's the nicest time you can have.
Nice. Where was I going here with the next one? What's your favorite band to do sound for and why?
Oddly enough, it's Cardboard Crowns. They are the easiest, nicest human beings. They can set up on a stage extremely fast. Last time I gave them even a sound check, it lasted for about a minute.
Really?
Yeah, they plugged in, each of them strummed, each of them said a word into the mic, and they're like, that's perfect.
Yeah, and do you ever, when you're specifically doing the mic check, do you say, okay, just check the mic, or do you say, project yourself like you would be while you're singing? Or are you good enough that, like, once they're, you can just turn it down?
So you can set off a compressor so if you're talking at a volume and I have the volume set at a certain volume, if you try and yell, it will compress it down to that previous volume. Mm-hmm. So if you compress it based off what they talk as, the quality is going to distort a little bit if they're screaming into the mic, but for the most part, it's going to sound way better if you add just a little bit of reverb to it, and then when they're talking in between songs, it's not super quiet, and when they're singing during songs, it doesn't just jump all over the place if they switch back and forth.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Do you have a genre preference for providing your audio tech service?
I like pretty much just your average rock band. 2 guitars, bass, drums. You can just never go wrong with it. It's especially, I prefer it when you have a lead and a rhythm guitar. Just that way you can always fine tune. You know which guitar you always want to be a little bit brighter than the other. Mm-hmm. And then I don't mind doing work with synths. When you have eight synths going off the same time, it starts to feel cluttered. And even if it's not loud, there's so many different noises happening at the same time, it hurts your ears because it'll just feel loud. So the simpler, the better.
Good answer. Would you like to drop another song now for the viewers?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the last one was called?
Pulling Teeth.
By the Cardboard Crowns.
Yeah.
And this one?
I forget the name of the song, but it's by Olivia and the Creepy Crawlies.
Okay, so I guess we'll get back to you when the song's done and let you know what the song was.
Yeah.
How are we going to do that?
I don't know.
Okay, I guess. So, enjoy the song and we'll try and figure it out.
Well, I'll capture you and put a stake in your head, and I'll kill you again to make sure that you're dead, and I'll break your heart so many times it falls apart, and I'll worm my way into your soul, and I'll leave a great big burning black hole, and I'm so mean that I'll haunt all your dreams, 'cause I'm a super villain. I do all the things that villains do. If I'm a super villain, then why is my black heart breaking well, I never cry 'cause it's too much fun screwing up things and hurting everyone, and I'm the king of my castle, and you're all dirty rascals. I laugh a lot when I should be sad. I guess you get the idea that I'm pretty bad, so you should run away before I ruin your day. 'Cause I'm a super villain. I do all the things that villains do. And if I'm a super villain, then why is my black heart breaking? I spend my days plotting all my time away. I don't have time for love 'cause I have too much hate. But if you look behind the mask and cape, you'll see I'm blue. You see, I'm just like you. Cause I'm a super villain. I do all the things that villains do. And if I'm a super villain, then why is my black heart breaking? Cause I'm a super villain. I do all the things that villains do. And if I'm a super villain, then why is my black heart breaking
And we're back. Thank you very much for staying tuned to Underplayed and Underpaid right here on the U-Book, U-Book?
U-Book.
U-Book and the FaceTube format. That was
Supervillain by Olivia and the Creepy Crawlies.
a fantastic song that was so much fun to listen to while we were here. It was blasting at my speakers, which are behind the camera. You can't see. Let's get back to the interview with Tye Sepers, sound man extraordinaire in Guelph, who does much work at... How do people get in touch with you if they're interested in having you do sound for them, or if they want to take you out on a date?
Phone calls.
Phone calls.
Yeah, if you find me, I will give you my number. Otherwise, if you message me on Facebook, that's probably not going to work out very well for you.
Oh, really?
Because I'm going to assume it's going to be wanting to actually hang out and not work.
Okay, then what's your phone number so that they can call you?
If you want to reach me, you can find me at 519-362-7905.
And do you have like a word that those letters spell out?
I really wish I did,
Okay.
but
For next time.
unfortunately,
For next time.
I think some of those numbers don't actually have letters assigned to them.
That's impossible.
I thought 0.
0 has numbers,
Does it? Letters?
letters.
Or was it 1?
Oh shit. Now we gotta figure it out. Alright. Next time on Underplayed and Underpaid. Where were we here with the interview? Okay, memorable shows. Do you have any very memorable incidents that happened at a show?
There was the time where I remember Derek Schaller playing down at one of his little shows, and everybody was really into it. He's got a ridiculous amount of energy when he plays. And at one point, I look down at the iPad that I'm mixing, and there's a bunch of blood on it. And I just look, and I'm just like, I'm not bleeding. Derek's not bleeding. And I guess some guy in the mosh pit had moved because of Derek, and when he moved, just took the guy's nose out and completely busted it open. And me being like right behind, I'm 5 feet away from the guy, and the blood just splurts right over onto me and the iPad.
Wow.
I'm just like, holy shit, that's impressive.
So it wasn't Schaller bleeding or making somebody bleed.
Which is very rare.
Yeah, super rare. Yeah. We love you, Derek. Love you, Derry. He's legendary.
Haha.
Okay, yeah, so have you ever had an injury at a show?
I remember about 2 years ago I was doing sound at Kazoo Fest, and I got a little bit frustrated and flustered with a band that kept having feedback issues their entire show, because instead of sending me their individual instruments, they took it, put it all into their own mixer, and just gave me a left and a right signal. So really all I can do with that is EQ it, which would change the sound of everything that they're putting into it, or just turn it down a bit.
Yeah.
And they didn't really like that. And they cornered me, just kept yelling at me, started calling out the venue over the PA.
Wow.
And after the show, they kept going and going. And eventually I just got sick of it. I just said, fuck this, I'm going downstairs. Went to go into a beer fridge to go cool myself down, literally. And I let out a little punch onto a beer fridge, but I kind of hit where it lips out a little. So the entire force of the punch landed right on my pinky and broke my hand, and now it does this fun little shake.
Let's see. Do we get that? I think we got it. I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's fun times.
Well, so don't do that. Don't be dicks. If you're going to get a sound guy, let the sound guy do his job, right?
Or just don't punch fridges. Punch people.
Yeah. Well, I'm not supposed to condone it, but we're not on CFRU, so do what you want. You just deal with repercussions. I don't care if you get charged. It's none of my fucking business. Okay, what is the one thing that you'd suggest bands make sure that they bring to avoid technical difficulties?
I saw one of the rarest things that I don't think I've ever seen at a show before about a month ago. The bassist broke his bass string. Mm-hmm. And I don't see many bassists just casually carrying around spare strings with them. So most guitarists will carry a second guitar with them, which is highly recommended. If anything happens, you've at least got something to fall back on. I always recommend carrying an extra cable or two, maybe just a 1/4-inch cable. If you're running keys, try and bring every cord that you need to hook it up to any sound system. Mm-hmm. And that goes with DJs as well. When a DJ comes in and says that they can only do RCA, and your input for the entire bar for their DJ input is just XLRs, you have to hook up a board to hook up their board.
Yeah.
And it just kind of becomes tedious.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. It's a good answer, actually. Thank you very much, Tye. Any other pointers for bands who may be young or lacking gig experience?
Just remember, you're doing it for fun. You're doing it because it's something you love doing and want to pursue. When you go onto a stage, don't be afraid if there's 1 million people there. Don't feel discouraged if there's nobody there. When you can show the same energy and the same enthusiasm and the same love for your music show to show, that's when you'll actually stick with people, and people will always want to see you.
There you go. All right, before we go to the third song of the interview, what is your fascination with puns all about?
You know, if people stopped giving me the satisfaction of it bugging them that I say puns, I would probably stop. I could give like an entire list, but having the name Tye, it is in so many words. It's unbelievable. You got tight, you got type, you got Titanic, tyrannical, Tyrannosaurus. It just doesn't end.
Yeah, it goes on and on. Well, thank you very much for that answer. And yeah, let's all egg them on. Okay, so third song, what do you want to play?
They Weren't There, So They Can't Say by James Murray and the Good For Nots.
Oh, fantastic band. Love James. James does Monday nights at the Jimmy Jazz. And he's just a fantastic guy. Fantastic guy. Can't say enough about him. Yeah, all right, so here, enjoy the song. We'll be back in a couple with the continuance of the interview with Tye Sepers.
Tried to escape, well, a hand slipped from mine, and I heard her scream and go on, and I'll meet you at the other side. But she never came, and I waited for days, and so I waited right here until she reappeared. Said I would, I said I would, I said I would, I said I would. They all laugh and say you're late, until they're right here I'll wait. 'Cause I said I would, I said I would, I said I would. Heard from back home, she's still alive, and so I'm hoping beyond a hope what they say is not a lie. But I'll never leave until we're free, and so I stay right here until you're here, my dear. Said I would, I said I would, I said I would, I said I would. They all laugh and say you're late, until they're right here I'll wait. 'Cause I said I would, I said I would, I said I would. When we left we made a plan. You go east and I'll stay west. We'll meet back up when we can. Now they're saying that we should have stayed, never left or tried to escape. They weren't there so they can't say. No, 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 they can't say.
And we're back on Underplayed and Underpaid right here in the dungeon in the basement of St. George's Church. Am I? Are we really? Ooh. Thanks again for staying tuned and listening to Tye Sepers talk about doing sound tech stuff. Thank you. Make sure you click a like on the page. Go to Underplayed and Underpaid on the Facebook format and click a like on there. That way you can keep in touch with what's going on in the Guelph scene and just some fun stuff. And you can also get a hold of me there for an interview at Underplayed and Underpaid. Or you can also email me directly at bryancfru@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to maybe come out to your jam space like I'm going to do next Wednesday with the Essential Letdowns, Keegan Nelson and the voice, or I'll have you maybe into my secret spot for a little interview. Okay, so what's your favorite local band, Tye?
Local band. That's actually, I completely forgot about half these people that were local at one point. After a while, all of these bands that are local end up moving to Hamilton. I guess Hamilton's like the huge hotspot right now for everybody to move. My favorite local would probably actually have to be Odd Years.
Odd Years?
Yeah.
Right on.
I haven't seen them play in a long time, though. It bums me out because every single time I run a show, I'm playing their music.
Aw. That's good on you, man.
I try and play bands' music that I see. If they play at the bar and they pass me a CD, I'll throw it on a playlist, and if the genre for the night's suiting it, I'll play it. I try and avoid playing really light Leonard Cohen-esque music during hip-hop shows. Mm-hmm. I just feel like it doesn't suit.
It's a good idea. What's your favorite local venue?
My favorite local venue would... for the longest time, for me, it was always the E-Bar, because if you went to the very back of it, and they used to have this giant metal door that went into the actual restaurant. And if you sat right beside the metal door, you got the best noise where everything just blended perfectly and shot straight into another room.
Cool.
But once Nick and Belay opened up District, it really became that spot. Their sound system, their lighting system is easily one of the best in Guelph. And the only other place that has a bigger stage is the concert theater, but concert theater is very hit or miss for the venue itself and the pricing of a lot of the acts that they get.
Yeah. They're like Sean Paul.
We had a Pauly D play from Jersey Shore that one year at Guelph. I'm pretty sure.
Did he even show up?
I don't know. I never followed up on it, but I remember that it was supposed to be at concert theater, but it ended up being at Van Gogh's, I think.
All right, changing gears. What's your favorite local eatery?
It's weird to admit. Cornerstone has always been my go-to just for casually sitting down eating. I had a year living with 2 roommates, and I would eat at Cornerstone pretty much every day for 8 months.
Yeah.
But right now, I am in love with Royal Electric's chicken sandwich and the Jimmy Jazz sliders. They are just amazing pieces of chicken. They give you so much chicken.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
$3, $4?
Yeah, 3 on Monday.
The sliders?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
Oh, can never stop.
All right, there you go. All right. Following on in the interview, why don't you ever come see me for coffee at Tony's Billiards? And why don't you ever guess my t-shirt, Dink?
I guessed your t-shirt today.
Did you?
No.
No, you didn't.
No. I saw you, though.
You did.
I came in.
Yes, you did.
You can't deny
You're a
that.
sweetheart for coming in.
You said you were bored, I came in.
Because you already had a coffee.
I had multiple cups of coffee. I think I've had at least 12 cups of coffee.
Oh, geez. You shouldn't have more than 5 servings of coffee in a day, bro. It's not good for you.
Yeah, that's the worst thing I do.
We will not give you any further questions on the topic. Okay, it's time to play. Pressed by Nick presents Button Rebuttal on Underplayed and Underpaid. If you're interested in getting buttons made, make sure you contact Nick Clark at Pressed by Nick right on the Facebook format, and we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah, Nick will actually make buns and pretty much anything you want him to.
You want, yeah.
I've seen some pretty vulgar little buns coming from that kid.
Yeah, they're probably for me.
Yeah.
And we'll remember to do the rebuttal so you can also have a chance to win a shiny green Underplayed and Underpaid button.
Ooh.
Okay, are you ready to play?
Yes.
The format of the game is we'd like to... I ask you a riddle. If you can't get the riddle, then you got to stick your hand in a dirty button bag. You ready to begin?
Deal.
All right. Tye Sepers. All right, so there was a plane crash where every single person died. Who survived? Time is up. That's the first time I did the buzzer sound. Stick your hand in this filthy bag of buttons.
Oh, man, it feels great. I'm gonna grab the little guy.
There you go. And what did you win? What would you get here?
Stephen Harper.
Stephen Harper.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Sucking on something.
I think it's those are anal beads
Anal beads.
coming out of his anal mouth.
That's one of my favorite lines is, does your ass get jealous of all the shit that comes out of your mouth?
There you go. Fantastic. And now you get an opportunity to rebut as to why you think you deserve an underplayed and underpaid button.
Because I love you, Brian, and I always will.
There you go. That's all you got to do to win a beautiful, shiny green. Let's see if I can get the HD camera. Underplayed and underpaid button. There you go. Thank you very much for being a guest this week on Underplayed and Underpaid. Thank you very much for being an awesome sound tech and doing all the beautiful things. Thank you very much for fixing the light at the Jimmy Jazz. It was really awesome. And everybody's going to be super stoked about that, especially on Sunday when we do the comedy night at the Jimmy Jazz.
Yes.
With comedy host Dave McInnes. So thank you very much again, Tye Sepers, and that's it for another episode of Underplayed and Underpaid. Oh wait, how was the chicken stew?
Oh, you make amazing stew. Please
Ladies?
give me more.
Underplayed and underpaid.